How y'all are? Today I'm down at the boat checking things out. I haven't had it in the water in a while. I'm going to make sure the batteries are charged up. And we're going to check out my dual battery charging system for my house battery and my starter battery and show you how it's set up and if I can get some shots of it back there. And we're going to go back to the house and I'll draw you a diagram of how it works and why I have it this way, because you know, today with all the electronics you carry on your boat, it's good to have a spare battery in your boat, especially when you're going out in the Gulf or offshore a little bit, even inshore fishing, which we normally do. Anyway, the dual battery system really helps us out and gives us a little peace of mind and gives us a little backup when we need it. Just get back here and I'll show you how it works. In the meantime, if you're new here, welcome, and we'd love for you to hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon so you can get more videos like this. Okay, as you can see, I have a dual battery set up. I've probably shown you this before, but not recently. I've got my start battery labeled and my house battery over here, and got heavy wire between them. And also I've got, if I can reach around here and show it to you, see if I can do it. I've got the new Perco switch, Blue Seas out of battery set up with an ACR, automatic charging relay. I don't know if you can see this right here. I'm trying to get you some decent shots of it, but there's not much light down there. So, and I suck as a cameraman, let's face it. Anyway, let me show you how, let me tell you why I do this. Okay, you'll see, if you can see that in there, I'll try to hold the camera steady. It's only got a couple of positions. It's got off, which everything is should be shut off now, and then the first position turns on it connects the first battery, the main battery, the starting battery, and then you've got a combined mode. But over here next to it, if I've got it in the shot, I've got an automatic charger there that flips back and forth between each battery as the battery needs it. It detects it, and we'll talk about that more later. The reason I'm doing this is, well, right here goes my depth finder on the ram mount, and then we've got my VHF radio, and of course you got your nav lights, you got your bilge pump, you got your live well fill, you got some accessory lights, which mine happen to be some lights under the console down here, some LEDs I have, and you've got your aerator right there. And I can't remember what this is. Oh, that's an additional accessory light that I've got for the front if I need it. It's just a lot of electronics, and then of course I've got my stereo here too, which you don't use very much. By the way, if you haven't seen this stereo, this thing is really great. It's a little in-dash stereo. Got my speakers mounted on the side there. This Boss unit stereo is hooked up to my trolling motor batteries, however. Normally I don't use my trolling motor very much, and I don't believe in listening to music while I'm fishing, because sometimes we fish in such skinny water. I don't want to make any noise, and we don't need the thumping bass scaring off all the fish. I'm just going to try to get some better shots of how I've got it set up. What I did, I mounted that switching system on the outside of a battery box, and I had to put a little stiffener piece of fiber plexiglass there to stiffen the outside of that box, and it works fine. This is pretty good size wire, as you see. I think this is number 2 or 4. It's probably 2. And we'll go into wire sizes and wire gauges and stuff like that soon enough when I get back. Okay, we're back at the house, and just wanted to show you, this is a picture on the net of the Blue Seas mini add a battery system. This is a different switch than what you're accustomed to seeing. It only has off, on, and combined, and what it allows you to do is to turn everything off. But that, used in conjunction with this automatic charging relay, the mini, this is a 65 amp charging relay. You can get one that goes to 120 amps, and I only bought the 65 because I've got a little Yamaha 90, and it probably doesn't even put out but 10 amps from the alternator. Okay, here's a quick look at the way I have it set up. The only thing I left out here was a Ninja fuse here at this battery, and a fuse here, and a fuse here for your panel. We'll come back to it in a minute, but I wanted to show you this real quick, and before I get into why I use this system. Okay, these are the factory specs from the Blue Seas website. The main reason I used this system is it automatically combines the batteries during charging, but isolates the batteries during discharging. That way you can keep your house battery separate from your engine battery. And it's got a start isolation option, which protects your electronics from voltage sags and spikes during engine cranking. This one, as I said earlier, only goes to 65 amps, only supports alternators up to 65 amps. They have another 120 amp model. It's ignition protected. It's safe for installation aboard gasoline powered boats, obviously. It senses the charge in each battery on each bank. If it drops below a certain voltage, and I'll show that to you in a minute, it will stop charging the hot battery and direct the charge. Even though it's combined them, it will direct the charge towards the battery that's lower. Okay, here are the wire sizes that they recommend. I always go larger because what you guys probably don't know about me. Yes, I've been in the financial service business for 35 years, but I also studied electrical engineering in college. Don't ask me why. The minimum wire gauge they're showing is 10 on less than 30 amps, and that will certainly handle 30 amps. That's any electrician would tell you that. But we're using stranded wire, and we're using in a marine environment. I like 6 or better. I think 6, which is a larger diameter wire, and it'll handle more current. I like 6 to maybe 4 or even 2. Don't go any smaller than the leads coming off your outboard. And of course it shows the fuse ratings on each of the wire gauge sizes. Alright, here we are back at the drawing again, and y'all don't laugh at my drawing, okay? I suggest on the house battery and on the start battery, go ahead and put a circuit breaker here. This will be about 20 amps, and this will be whatever you need to start your engine. I would say 50 or 60. On your fuse panel, it depends on your panel and how many electronics you have on it. And naturally, there are going to be switches right here between the fuses. Then there'll be a fuse here, and then all of these legs are fused too. So if your lights go out, you have a problem in your lighting circuit, that fuse pops, but everything else works. Okay, let me show you how this thing works and why I use this over the old switching system, where you could have battery number 1, battery number 2, or combine both batteries. This thing does it automatically. The dotted line represents pretty much an isolation here between the two circuits. Here's what happens. You turn the switch off. Everything is shut off. Nothing works. You can't start your engine. You can't turn on your fish finder, your live well, your light, stereo, whatever. You turn it to on, or position number 1 on this new style switch, and everything's connected. The start battery will start the engine. House battery runs all this stuff. You're running down the lake, and this automatic charging relay, what it does, it will charge this battery and this battery. Okay, if this battery is very low, it'll put out about 13 volts. If this battery is low, it's going to quit charging this battery, and it's going to put all the charge on this battery while you're running your outboard, and vice versa. When you go to start it, if you hooked up the optional ignition starter relay wire, if you've ever had your electronics, have your fish finder shut down when you go to start your engine, well, that's because it's not isolated. If you'll go ahead and hook up this ignition switch wire from the ACR, that will tell it to isolate these two circuits. You hit your starter on your outboard, it doesn't shut your fish finder off and screw up everything else. You can run it to the starter relay or your ignition switch. Usually the starter relay is closer, depending on where you locate the ACR. This system is superior to the old switch system where you had to switch back and forth between your batteries, because let's say you're sitting on a stand bar and you're running your stereo, your outboard's not running, and you're running down your house battery. Well, that's fine. Well, maybe you had it on combine, the old combine option on the switch. You're running down both of your batteries. Now you can't start a darn thing. This will always keep this this type of switch will always keep these things separated, so you'll always have a hot battery. So most good dealers are probably changing these out now. They've been around a couple of years, but this Blue Sea Systems ACR and this mini out of battery kit is very cool, and it's inexpensive, and there's a link below in the description. You can get them on Amazon. They're not very expensive, and they're well worth the money. So if you've been thinking about charging marine batteries and you're thinking about adding a 2-battery boat setup, I highly recommend this Blue Sea Systems Mini Add a Battery. They work well, they have a good reputation, and I think you'll like them. You can click on the link below and where it says show more in the description, and it'll take you right to it on Amazon. I want to give a shout out to Marty Adair. Hope I pronounced your name right, Marty. He's a subscriber that made a nice donation to our PayPal account. We have, and you'll see it on our main page. It'll be up in the top right corner of our main channel page. Mentioned something about it in the last video. If you want to shout out, donate $2. Well, Marty donated more than $2, and I'm going to give him a good shout out and hope he catches a lot of fish. Thanks, Marty. We really appreciate it. It's really going to help. And Debbie wants to buy live shrimp with it, and of course, you know me, I want to buy plastics with it, so I guess we'll just split it in half. It'll go to good use. It'll go to help this channel produce more videos. Thanks, Marty. I appreciate you. All right, guys, tight line.